make a cavity, the exact shape of that frying pan, and then you pour the metal in, and you've got a frying pan. Now, what about a car engine with 4 cylinders and water jackets all round the cylinders? That's a bit more complicated. It takes 7 years to learn how to make a pattern for a car engine. And I did it in 4, because I was good at it. I was practically illiterate. I fell into a fish pond when I was 3, and it affected me mentally. I stuttered, and I was nervous, and I didn't learn very well. But I was still good with my hands. I was top of the class in the woodwork, and that's why I say I'm the luckiest.
It's amazing.
But who makes the patterns now for the car industry? If you couldn't find anybody to work for you...
Well, there's lots of pattern makers, mostly in Birmingham and Manchester. Oh, and I know most of them. And I was president of the Master Pattern Makers Association, which we used to be in Manchester. Oh yes, I became president of the Master Pattern Makers Association. Oh, there's still a lot of pattern makers around, but instead of making them in wood nowadays, they make them in metal. They don't bother with and they make them in metal, which lasts a long time, and they go in mass production.
But they're not hand carving things anymore. Are they doing
Oh yes. Well, you start off with, you can't get a casting without making something in wood first, and then you make lots of them. You make see. What happens with metal is it contracts 1/8 to the inch. Therefore, if you make a metal pattern, you have to make double contraction. You have to have special rulers with double contraction, 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch to every foot. It's, you see, because it shrinks once with the metal pattern, and then it shrinks again when the pattern's made. So therefore, all patterns now are made in metal for mass production. I was doing that. I had to do that. But not as much. We did half of what we did was in wood and half in metal. I forget the name of it now, but they found a cure for it, which meant I lost my boys. I had no boys. They all went home and were fit and well. And my commissioner said to me, would you like to be a commissioner and look after, and I told him I want to do something for all those boys that are born disabled. Nothing wrong with their head. They've got a perfectly good brain, but they're sitting in a wheelchair. They don't enjoy life as much as the other kids. Why? So I did something about it. I found them. I found 6 or 7 and put them into the scout group where they acted as the judge or the scorer, and then they took part. But when it comes to summer camp, that's not possible. It was a drawback. Everywhere they had to be pushed around in a wheelchair. That wasn't practical. So I started the 6 counties, Bucks, Berks, Berks, Hants, Herts and Oxon. 6 counties where there were 4, 5, 6 boys in every county. We got them all together, and you found another boy the same age who not necessarily knew him or lived near him, but he came to camp with him, and he was put him on a little course to teach him to dress, undress, feed his buddy, and push him around carefully and not tip him out of his wheelchair, which was surprisingly happened often if you don't train them. And that's what we did. We ran a camp in every county, and then I lived near Eton College, and I said, well, I think we ought to go abroad, because in Holland was a special camp for the disabled in Ommen, right the other side of Holland, in Ommen. Oh yes, we want to go there, but it cost too much. So I knew that the boys in Eton College were wealthy, a lot of money, and every now and again they'd donate a certain amount once a year. So I managed to tell them, could I give a lecture, which I did, and a film, and I got £7,000.
Oh my God.
From the boys there.
£7,000.
Not from the college, from the boys.
From the boys.
Ah,
As a collection, from the boys. They
just a
went,
day's allowance,
top money,
day's
isn't
drink allowance.
and that paid for us to fly. All these boys in wheelchairs, to fly them. We had another
Well
lorry
done. Well
lorry and
done.
car that went by road,
Yeah.
but we went by, and we caused havoc in Heathrow by all these boys in wheelchairs. Security,
Yeah.
they wouldn't go through.
But you got there.
And it was wonderful, so wonderful, yes. Well, we were accepted in open arms because of the same thing, you see. The Dutch Scout movement did the same thing, which the British, except for me, didn't do. And they had lots of disabled boys, and we all mixed together. And it was wonderful.
You've done so much.
But then, I have to tell people this. I was discovered when I was caught. The papers didn't know anything about it, but as I say, you don't tell lies and you don't live one. So I told my senior commissioner, oh George, oh dear, I had a conviction, but nobody else knew. I think you'll have to resign. He told me. I didn't mind. I'd done a lot and I was a bit tired, and I thought, okay. So I did. I gave it up, and then I went sailing. See?
I was going to ask you about your hat.
This hat
Because you
is,
looked like a master mariner.
this hat is 50 years old.
Oh.
I bought a kit. I've always been useful, but I bought a kit. You buy all the bits, a plastic hull, and all the bits. It took me 3 years, and I built my own boat, a 27-foot Mark-on Sabre. I built it for 3 years, and then I sailed everywhere. Every boat hole in the south of England I've been to, and the same in France. My favourite, because I always loved Brighton, so I kept the boat in Brighton Marina. And the thing to do is to sail straight across. If you go to the Solent, you've got to fight the tides to get there. But if you go to France, you don't. You just do a big letter S, and you get to France. Fécamp. I went there many, many times, and I loved it. Some guy came sailing with me, but I had lots and lots of always a gay crew. Always a gay. And then I discovered there was a gay sailing club, and I was one of the founder members. A founder member. There's about 1,000 members. You see, gay people, it's appealing. You go as a gay crew, you go sailing, it's wonderful.
I've never been sailing.
It's wonderful.
Don't.
It's wonderful.
Don't. He's telling
Oh,
me don't go.